afforded a reasonable opportunity to be heard or to present written submissions respecting matters contained in the applications that are the subject of this session. No one will be or should feel discouraged or prevented from making their views known. This session is open to the public, and all representations to council form part of the public record. A live video and audio feed may be broadcast and recorded by GFTV. All information, correspondence, petitions, or reports that have been received concerning the applications have been made available to the public. The correspondence received after February 27, 2019, the date of notification, are available for inspection during the course of this session and are located on the information table in the foyer of the council chamber. Members of council may ask questions if they so wish. However, it is the main function of council members to listen to the views of the public. It is not the function of council to debate the merits of the proposed applications with the individual citizens or with each other at this session. Council debate on the proposed applications is scheduled to take place during the next regular council meeting after the conclusion of this session. It should be noted, however, that for some items a final decision may not be reached at that meeting. During a public feedback session, people sometimes become enthusiastic or emotional. Regardless of whether you favor or oppose any application or argument, please refrain from applause or other expressions of emotion. Restraint enables others whose views may or may not coincide with your own to exercise their right to express their views and have them heard as an impartial a forum as possible.
Sometimes I cry, but that's something I'm trying to control. Okay, so can we start out by, and do we have a sign-in sheet? Did we set that up? All right, so can I call on 426 Central Avenue, Cannabis Retail? Which group is that? Is that Baggy?
No.
Nope.
These base camps.
Is there anyone here representing that application? Hearing none. We'll move on to the second one on the list, which is 317 Market Avenue, Cannabis Retail, Quantum. Calling a second time, anyone from Quantum? And moving down to the third, which is 7480 4th Street, Baggies. Gentlemen, you could come to the front and take the microphone.
There you go. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Councillors. My name is James McKenna. I represent Baggy's Cannabis Store as co-owner. My business partner, Kyle McEwen, is here as well. Just wanted to take this opportunity to introduce myself and a little bit about how we came to be. So I personally have over 16 years business management experience, running 3 retail locations, grossing over $12 million a year, with years of study in organizational health and safety, as well as marketing, sales, and IT. I am a local Grand Forks resident, looking to secure a new business roots in the community. I've tried to purchase 2 local businesses since my move here in 2016, but they just weren't destined to be. The first, I couldn't find the long-term potential, and the second, having the seller walk away from the table last moment back in October, which in turn left me looking for a new business at the time of legalization. Wow, a new industry, huge industry, at the same time I'm looking for a new business. It took me till December to draw up a business plan and find a location that fit within all bylaws and current cannabis zoning. We've spent a great amount of time and money to come up with a store layout and design that will be very welcoming and something to be proud of. I've given the fella here a picture of the interior. You know, something not your standard, everything, like creating custom everything from counters, shelves, light fixtures, trying to bring an industrial but upscale look to the interior. Our location, if approved by council, would see great exterior improvement over the first few years of business, as there are plans being drawn up to pave the front parking lot and facelift renovate the building. Baggies plans to be a part of Grand Forks for a long time, employing local talents such as accountants, securing local bank accounts, and employing local staff. Thanks for your time and consideration. This is a different drawing here you see than was submitted. Last Thursday I did send an email in to a fella here saying that I was going to remove the large sign, being that I got into a conversation with the owner of the building that there's a larger plan in development to facelift that whole building. If you're familiar with the old Hawk Shop building, it would be in need of a full facelift in just my location. So I went with a very similar entrance to Dr. Ruth's, just to fit suit what she has currently until we can make a bigger investment to facelift the whole building.
Council, questions? Again, we're not debating with this process, but we can clarify issues that are of concern or interest to you. Councillor Krog,
Yeah, the 100-meter setback.
we took that off
No, from a youth center.
from the youth
Yeah.
center?
Yeah,
Right.
So it
From
meets
that
that.
location?
yeah.
I think it meets that requirement
Yeah.
from that location.
I've had that checked in too, yeah. With the Leaford has confirmed that with me.
Yeah, from the Red Walker.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Further questions? Can you timeline your opening for us? Do you have some idea when you'll be able to?
The liquor board cannot give me a time frame right now. They've approved my paperwork, and everything's been handed off to the Solicitor General for background checks. They don't keep a timeline on that. I told them that my next council meeting would be the 25th, and they're like, we won't be done by then. So I was really hoping to be open by the end of April, but they say they can't give a timeline. So I imagine they may also sit on a few things, waiting for your guys' approval as well, because why do the work without your guys' approval? So they won't give me a time right now. I keep asking.
Okay, it's all vague. Planning, do you have anything to say on this?
Turn your mic off. Yeah, so one of the things that council can discuss is hours of operation and whether or not you'd like to go with the provincial, the province has this, is it 9 to 11 or something is the maximum?
9 to 11 is the maximum, and we're allowed to work anything within that. So we could open them to be fully allowed from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. and then we can work within those. We're just not allowed to work out within outside of our proposed hours.
Yeah, so I don't know if council wants to address the operating hours or if they just want to leave it with the provincial standard or not. But.
Councillor?
Yes, so from our discussions this morning, we don't care if there's one parking stall or 20. Is that my understanding? It's existing building that's zoned for residential or for commercial, so we don't care how many parking stalls. Is that correct?
I wouldn't say we don't care.
Oh,
I would say that we don't have any language in our bylaws or anything to do anything else at this point. We've already started looking into what other communities are doing, and it's a bit of a dog's breakfast out there, so something that we'll be addressing in the future.
It's not really a parking crunch in that location. There's a lot of that open space, you know.
but
from-
no, but just as a
As a
matter
rule.
of process, whether someone
Yes.
says this type of store,
I
how many parking
understand.
spots.
I have one.
So-
We need clarity on those things, you're right. Further, Councillor Thompson?
So other than the letters that are attached, there's been nothing, no other public feedback on these applications?
in the package
Yes.
that you saw in there? Yeah, that's all
That's
that
all.
we've gotten in the written feedback, and I don't believe we've received any verbal feedback by phone. And if we did, we were requesting that folks put stuff in writing so that because I need to submit it to the province and review
Yeah.
it, so.
Councillor Zelinski?
We asked about the Walker building, what about Gyro Park? Are we good with 100 meters there?
Yes, because the language is from the actual structure of the cannabis building, so it's from the structure, not the parcel boundary.
Okay.
So yes, it meant as well.
Councillor Crog?
So the proposed hours are way under the provincial guidelines.
I personally, if you guys would like to expand them, like I say, I'm allowed to work within them, so to have them at the maximum applied for would not hurt me at all. I could always work within them. It's actually harder for me to work with outside of those hours right now, so if you'd like to see the full hours, I could operate.
Well, I would think you would like the right to adjust your hours to the market when you get to know the market better. Right now, it's a big unknown.
That was why we kind of gauged it where we did, leaving the Friday weekend time a little more hours and then limiting the weekday hours, but it would be nicer to adjust, so almost your guys' recommendation to do that, kind of force it through on the liquor board side, so I would definitely do that.
Do we have any signage issues with this location? It seems like a very discreet, small sign that you're proposing.
Yeah, they do have maximum that's allowed by the province, I believe. Because the province does tell you, they do dictate a little bit about what you can do with signage, I believe, as well. So the province is pretty tight with the criteria for their building, signage, their hours. And they have to, when you put an application in, they have to specify their operating hours. Like, they can't just say, we think we might want to operate during these hours. They actually have to specify the hours that they intend to operate to the province. So it may not be as quick as to be able to respond to market, as they feel it out. I don't know. They probably have, I don't know if you have to reapply to the province for that, or?
Once you're licensee, I was asking them some questions regarding, I did change my front signage to be a smaller sign because we're looking to do a development there. So, once you're a licensee, some of the stuff becomes quite easy. She says, relates it to the liquor board where, if any liquor store got a new location or wanted to do new signage, there's an internal process. She couldn't really tell me the internal process, and it could be done quite easily. They just need the basis to start somewhere. I think once you're a licensee, there is going to be some flexibility within it, but when it's quite rigid process I'm going through right now. So.
Councillor Thompson?
So if this is the application that was submitted to the province as well as the city.
Yes.
So you've included your proposed hours of operation in the application?
Yes.
And if you were to, excuse me, if you were to vary your hours, then you would have to go through the whole application process again?
No, not once I have attained my license. It would be more of a formal process within the liquor board to
So-
change my hours, but
So
it
you're not
wouldn't be.
necessarily restricted?
No.
Can you tell me about the staff that are going to be there? Do you expect to have staff that are certified in cannabis dispensing?
Yes, we've looked at some of the Selkirk courses you can take on cannabis. Actually, I've been leaving that information to Kyle. He's going to be working there full-time right away, and I'm going to be there most of the time. I'm going to phase out of my current position I'm at, and I couldn't really give him a timeline, so I told them once we get phase over, I'm going to give him X amount of time, 6 months, before I'll phase right out of my position with you.
Okay. Councillor Thompson?
Again. So there are different varieties of marijuana
Yes.
and they serve different purposes.
Yes.
Okay, so are some of them medicinal?
I'm not sure how tight they are on us advertising it as medicinal, being we're a non-medicinal store. So I know in the States they're very against you saying, oh, this one's for this and this is for that.
According to reliable sources, David Malmo, Levine, all cannabis is medicinal, so.
Okay.
So,
But there are no tax breaks at this point for medicinal users, so there's really no need to differentiate. The biggest thing will be that the supply from the government will be limited in terms of dosage to 5 milligrams per dose. So there'll be efforts to label and package your product in a way that differentiates dosages clearly so that people are not overdosing. Edibles are coming, and not here yet, but that will be-
legislation's this year, I think, 2019, October. is when they're-
They've done a cross-Canada survey and have come up with a number of rules and regulations they'll be applying to the end of edibles, which is a big part of the medicinal market as well. As well, no gummy bears and things that attract children. There's a pretty tight regulations on your business.
Yes, oh, very tight. It's quite a handbook.
But we're not dealing with edibles.
Not yet, but we will be
Or-
soon.
No, we're not allowed to put a spot in our store for it. We're not allowed to really do anything until proper legislation has gone through, so.
They will be selling oils and concentrates that can be used to make edibles at home.
Yes, they could be, yes.
Under the current legislation?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, you're allowed to do quite a few things at home with your product, from growing to using the concentrates to do whatever.
And you're not going to be selling paraphernalia?
Some paraphernalia. Well, not well, I guess you're limited to selling things to use marijuana, use cannabis, nothing else. So you can't sell like any chocolate bars or anything else, but if you want to sell rollies or pipes, you are able to do
So bongs and pipes and vaporizers?
that. Yes, we're gonna have a
grinders,
section for
that
that.
kind of thing.
Yes.
I thought there were restrictions on that before, but I guess they've loosened them up.
Yeah, there's none that I've come into.
So we're using you to educate Councillor Boswell.
No problem.
Yes, on that, Mayor, can I ask you where you're gonna get your product from?
100% through the liquor board. It has to come through the liquor board on their approved transportation, so they rule the market. So there's a Richmond location.
And they set the price.
And they set the price to me, and then I'm allowed to sell it anywhere from my cost up, not below my cost. That's what they put out there. So they didn't really put out a gross margin or anything. So to do my business proposal, I just had to go and use liquor board margins. And,
No lost leaders at this point.
no, exactly. So I haven't heard back about my financial part yet. So like that's my whole business plan. That's what I'm waiting to hear back of how they like that. So I can't give you much on that. But everything has to come through them to answer the question, and it has to be on their approved transport. Like I know there's a place in Christina Lake. There's a grower starting. I couldn't go to them and have them deliver directly to me.
Right.
They have to send it to Richmond. It has to come from Richmond out. So it's very controlled by the liquor board where you get your products.
Is the liquor control board, is their price list available to the public?
You can buy online cannabis right now through the BC Cannabis Board, which has their retail price.
Yes.
But I won't be able to see my cost until I have a license.
So, let me get this straight then, you don't know what the cost of the product are going to be yet?
I do not.
Packaging will
risk.
be a big issue because
Probably not.
things are very much over-packaged at this point.
Yeah. Well,
That certainly will be a concern that we're more aware of when somebody actually opens up here with a retail.
it's very closed packaging. You can't see your product at all. I've went and talked with the guys out in Castlegar, and I've seen their product, and their product is black jars for larger amounts, or if they're pre-rolled, they're like looks like a closed cigarette pack, but very just all white, with a little bit of writing on it, and your warning in the corner, but you can't see any of the product, which is kind of a big question for you as a consumer, like what am I getting? But that's just the way they're
Councillor Krog?
I thought from reading somewhere or seeing something, or maybe it was Colorado or Washington that they had, kind of looked this similar, but you could actually see the product, or maybe it was in a cube or something magnified so you could see the fibers or.
They do have them at the Castlegar location
Oh,
as well.
okay.
They have
So
they
you
call
can't
them
see it.
sniffers.
Yes.
They're little cubes and they're attached to the desk. You can pick
Yeah.
them up and shake them, and you can pull a little container lid off it and give it a smell.
Oh, okay, I thought it was.
I actually found them very. Each one didn't smell any different. I didn't
Yeah.
actually like the experience. We've decided to hopefully go. In my picture there, you'll see a couple tablets. You know, we're gonna off location because we're not allowed to open product there.
Yeah.
Purchase some, open it, take some macro photos and whatnot, and be
Okay.
able to let people kind of view what they're getting
Yeah.
on a tablet instead of, I think it might be a better experience. If not, I have a little extra counter space there and we can go that route after. They said no problem, but I decided.
Terpenes are extremely important to some people in choosing a product that they'll enjoy.
Yeah.
Catherine, any questions?
Absolutely not at this time.
We're all getting used to the reality of what's going on here, so excuse my detail here.
Everywhere I go, banks, everywhere, it's a new experience all over the place. So
Are you having any banking issues?
at first I did bank at, my personal bank was at CIBC, and no charter banks are offering bank accounts right now to cannabis stores. So I do have a inactive account open at Granite Forks Credit Union, and as soon as they have a license number, they'll activate it for me.
Excellent, so you're getting cooperation from the credit union?
Yeah, you find cooperation everywhere. Everyone has to look through some things, call you back or whatnot, but it's been a good experience.
I'm running out of questions, but you know, you will have quite a bit of competition, although you will have road visibility from your location. You're going to be facing a number of other operators looking for retail, and we're not limiting the numbers. I believe council still feels it should be an open market that way, and that we're not limiting the number of retail outlets.
I'm aware, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, have we exhausted the questions here?
I know she might want to ask if there's any members of the public.
Oh, yeah, sorry, but does anyone like to ask questions from the gallery?
I just posed it to Facebook. Give me a minute to see if anybody has one. There's 13 people watching.
Okay, well, we have a few more minutes since neither of the other proponents are here this evening. If there are other questions coming in, Les,
Not so far.
not so far. Okay,
So is the province putting any holds on outside advertising for you? Like, can you have an 8-foot marijuana leaf in the front of?
There are stipulations to what it can be. I think a leaf is not allowed, a green cross is not allowed, certain things to advertise as an apothecary or dispensary or other things like that aren't allowed. The size was never discussed or anything. Originally, on my original drawing, I had a, big cannabis store, kind of like the liquor store has, and they were fine with that. So I haven't run into any. We don't want anything to do with intoxication or promoting intoxication being in your signage, but no, there wasn't much for what it could be size-wise or anything along those lines. Mine was pretty basic. I didn't push the limits at all. So.
Mr. Johnson?
So I have a question here from Facebook. What will the city be doing about the existing illegal dispensary? I'm not sure which one she's talking about.
Well, the way that stands, we turned down the temporary use permit, and at this point in time, we have not taken any other course of action. But I think the feeling of council was that this would come to a head when there was actual legal operation in town. But I'm not sure how to answer that any other way at this point. Council hasn't made any determination on the next step. Pause, is that about it, folks? James, that looks like the extent of the questions. So, we can wrap up from that.
One more.
Oh, we have another question, huh?
Yeah, Chuck would like to know which location you're discussing right now.
Which location?
Yeah,
Bun Mark's building, about halfway down where the
Yeah.
hawk shop was for many years.
The old hawk shop. Yeah.
The old hawk shop.
It's owned by
It'll be
Dr.
known like
Rex.
that for many years to come.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, James.
Thank you.
We have no new people in the audience, so I don't know whether it makes sense for me to call again for any comments on the other applications, but I'll call for adjournment.
I'll make that motion.
Since it was an informal meeting, I probably can just adjourn it, but thank you very much for everyone for coming, and Nita.